no matter what community you're from. You could be a college student, a policewoman, a fireman, or even a local business owner. No matter what your occupation is, put all those together and community is us. Welcome to Community is Us. Today I have a very special guest, TIto Jackson for Boston City Council District 7. He's covering Roxbury, Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, and some parts of the South End and the Fenway. And before we get started, I want to let y'all know he ain't the late Michael Jackson's brother, TIto Jackson, but he's Boston owned, the man with the action, TIto Jackson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Paul.
I like that.
I really, really appreciate the work that you do, your show that gives a voice to our community, and we need more of a voice now. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing and giving me an opportunity to be on your show.
Thank you. Let's get into it. You were raised in Roxbury?
Grove Hall, to be exact.
Grove Hall.
The berry, but not the fruit.
And it was, what, 1 out of 7 kids? You were adopted, right?
So my parents are really gracious people, man. I'm really blessed every single day. I was adopted at the age of 1 month. I have 3 older siblings. I tell them that I was chosen. And I have 3 younger siblings, and I tell them that they're lucky because they had such a great experience with me that they wanted to get them. So I was, I give them a hard time. But my parents, Herbert and Rosa Jackson. My father was a community activist, passed away in 2002. Mm-hmm. Really worked hard to make sure women, people of color, and Boston residents got a fair shake and got a job. In particular in the construction industry. These are industries that stuff is getting built in and around our community on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that people from our community have an opportunity to work on those jobs and to make those good wages. My mom just retired on Friday, so we did a little event for her this weekend. 22 years as a home daycare provider. In addition, we had over 54 foster kids that came to our home. So it was a very loving home that was open to the community. And what all of this did was it gave me a platform to understand how important it is to shape and be part of your community.
Right. He was a former aide for Governor DeVell Patrick. You graduated from UNH.
Yes, sir.
And you was actually elected student body president. Tell me a little bit about that.
You've been doing your research, my brother. So I attended the University of New Hampshire, which is a historically black college. I'm lying. Which is not a historically black college. We had 12,000 students. And we had 55 black students, and that's really where my activism really began, because one of the things I knew was that it wasn't right that we only had 55 black students out of 12,000. Right. That it's a state university that somewhat reflects the state, but 60 out of the student population there, about 45% of the students come from out of state. So it's actually closer to go to University of New Hampshire than it is to go to UMass. Right? So it's only 75 miles away. So we led a active recruitment of students of color. Right. To have a functional Office of Multicultural and Student Affairs, so we would have what we needed. And one of the things that I wanted to put in was also active recruitment of women of color, because it was a 3-to-1 ratio there. So we did all those things. The president who was there at the time taught me about politics, because he did the stuff we asked him to do, and they fired him. They said he was moving too fast.
Wow.
So 3 years later, I found myself really broadening my base, advocating with folks who you might not think who would be on board with trying to get more students of color, fraternities, sororities, and other athletes, and we were able to win. I ran for student body president, was the second black student body president. Then went on, had a career in sales and marketing and healthcare, and then ended up meeting this guy who I thought at the time's name was Patrick Duvall, but it was Duvall Patrick, and worked on his campaign and was able to work in the administration.
That's big. Now I know you won numerous awards. You won the special election. So you spent, like you said, 10 years into marketing and sales. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, how did that?
The sales and marketing piece was important for me. It gave me a skill set, and it gave me an opportunity to build some real skills that are transferable. You obviously build the rigor of getting up every single morning, but everyone does sales at some point in their life. when ladies, if you've ever gotten your boyfriend or significant other to go to a movie he didn't want to go to, that's sales. And actually, most sales is not that hard, right? And so, it was great. I worked for Johnson & Johnson, worked for Eli Lilly, but at that time I still did my community stuff. That's the thing that really fed me. So it just gave me a great opportunity to shift in my career to work for the governor. And I did economic development, and economic development means bringing in jobs and also bringing in companies. And actually bringing in companies, which actually brings in jobs. And we want companies here. We want them to invest their money, and we want them to hire the smart people that we have. And that's what I worked on doing. We were able to bring in about 2,500 jobs. Microsoft is one of the companies that I work with. About a week ago, they just announced that they're going to be opening, in addition to the building that they opened, they're going to be opening another building. So I'm really proud about that.
That's good. That's good. So what was your motivation to become a Boston City Councilor?
My motivation was the simple motivation of my father and my mother, which was simply to help the community that helped me, to give back to the community that really raised me and gave me so many opportunities. We want to make sure that we hold the door behind us. So for me, this is really personal because we're sitting right in Roxbury. I grew up in Grove Hall,
right up the street,
stone's throw away from where I am right now. But I also, 91 is 151 murders in the city. It was 91 or 92. I've seen it, I've heard it, and I felt it. I don't want my nephew, who's currently a freshman at Madison Park High School, to have to go through. When I was younger, that I wouldn't make it to 25. That was something that I kind of really thought about my life, and I wasn't in the streets. I didn't do any of that stuff, but the mortality, my mental mortality at that point was flawed and scarred. I want our young people to know that they can do better.
Right.
And so what I've been doing thus far, during the campaign, we had a 5-point plan, but thus far we've been working on really 3 really big areas. One was the jobs.
Okay.
So to date we have brought over 100 jobs. I'm currently working to make sure that we have our fair share and representation on the job sites in the city of Boston. So when the Ferdinand building goes up, you're going to see people who look like us. On the UMass project, the $750 million project over 10 years, you're going to see people who look like us, who have Massachusetts license plates, and people who are from here. The other area that I've been working on is safety. We had 1,300 stabbings over the course of 3 years. Corner stores are allowed to sell knives. We don't license them at all.
Okay.
Lately, the police went in and surveyed 9 stores, and a young person was able to buy a knife in 3 of them.
What about the toy guns?
The toy guns?
I think that's a bad image.
I agree. I actually was never allowed to have a toy gun.
Because they have toy guns that look real, and personally, I have a son, and I never allow him to play with guns. I don't care if it's a water gun, a plastic gun, because I just don't want him to be able to pick up a gun and to think.
My dad never let me do that. And to your point, remember we're at the age when laser tag came out?
Yeah.
And there was a couple of brothers who got shot.
Right.
They were playing laser tag, and ended up getting shot because they thought they had a weapon. And so I think that's an issue. The reason why we targeted this was because it was brought to my attention, and also Councilor Michael Ross's attention, by Mothers for Justice and Equality, great organization, and mothers who have lost their children, and in particular their sons. And so the objective there is to make sure that we currently regulate milk and eggs at a higher level than we regulate the sale of knives, and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
so we're working, and sadly, a really good friend of mine and a great advocate in the community, Jeanette Boone, who lives in the South End area, her 22-year-old grandson was just stabbed, by 4 dudes who were cowards. You have 4 guys. The young man was 140 pounds, and they ended up jumping on him and stabbing him. Ridiculous. And so we want to regulate that. The other piece is youth jobs. We have continued to advocate for youth jobs. When the budget came out, there were 7,000 jobs. We ended the summer with over 9,500 jobs. Not quite the 10,000 that we had the year before, but I'm continuing to work on that job piece for young people. And I think the other area we've been working really hard on is education. We want to make sure that we have a great educational system. One of the areas that I've been working on is science, technology, engineering, and math. Your kids they're not like us. You can't just do a history major thing. They're going to have to know technology, and you obviously know technology. But we want to make sure that they have that opportunity. So I brought in a program called Science from Scientists. This is run by a young woman. Her name is Erica Ebel. She was a former Miss Massachusetts and has adopted 4 schools. And the great part about it is these young people are going to get taught by bachelor's, master's, and PhD level folks on basic science, so they can get excited about science.
Right.
And it's going to end and culminate in a really cool day. We're going to do a CSI day, and that CSI day is going to be a day where they get to learn about the DNA samples, how blood is removed, how fingerprints are taken,
and we need that. And that was the thing I was going to mention to you too, is that the technology thing, like how are you going to get that out when the time comes? Because I know when Technology Goes Home came out, I was telling brothers nobody knew about it. Like, how will you implicate that, like when the time comes?
Yeah, so I think for me, the communication piece, to your point, has always been a huge obstacle. Email was one of those ones that was somewhat difficult. What we plan on doing, and this will be right after the election, knock on wood or something. Knock on wood. Yeah, there's something around here. But that I'm reelected. We're going to be. I really want my website to be a focal point for the community, for meetings for community organizations to be put on the calendar, for jobs, as well as, to your point, the programs that are out there. There's a lot of programs that are out there. But and we really want folks to have kind of a one-stop shop, and they're able to get all of the things that they can possibly get on the website, and to be able to connect with that. In addition, we do a monthly circular. So because not everyone's on a computer, right? So the other piece is making sure that we bridge that digital divide.
Well, they missed out on Technology Goes Home.
True. Very true. So those are some of the things that we've been working on. We've been working really hard, and I've been in about 5.5 months, and just really looking for an opportunity to continue to do this work. Over 100 jobs so far. Hopefully, we're going to continue to make that happen. But just really working on a day-to-day basis to continue to connect with people in our community and advocate for our community. One last thing, in this budget battle, it's really tough. There were 3 of our youth centers that were on the chopping block. I was able to work with administration to have really long and hard meetings to make sure that those community centers are going to be left open, and if not as good, it'll even be better. The mayor did a really great thing with the Mason Pool this summer. This had never happened before. It was open on Saturdays, which is a really important thing. So we actually ended up getting a little bit more there. So we're going to continue to work hard and long to make sure that our community gets what it needs, wants, and deserves.
Okay, now I know you spoke on safety. Now, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of officers in Boston that's doing a great job in protecting the city and protecting the people. But a lot of folks want to know, like, when it comes to police brutality, who's going to protect us?
Definitely. That's a huge issue, and I know, recently there was the release of the findings from the case at the Roxbury Community College. Very disturbing. And the thing that I really zeroed in on is the consultant that they brought in showed that the procedures that they had at the time were ineffective. When you looked at the video, these guys were falling all over each other.
Right. It was terrible.
At that time, we need to have a situation where these issues are dealt with. These standard operating procedures are changed so that we don't lose the trust of the community.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you, TIto Jackson, for coming through.
I appreciate it.
And we'll see y'all next time, same station. See you later.